My friend, he got married in Malaysia. Malaysia is a beautiful country, but they have this rule. When you get married, you have to say the statement. There's specific words, and you've got to say them without breathing. I think I'm right. You've got to say them all in one breath, and you've got 3 chances. If you make a mistake, 3rd time, you've got to go back, come back another time. You can't get married to her that day. Now we reach the 3rd stage, which is called the contract of nikah, the contract of marriage. In Islam, yes, there is love and there's interest and there's all of that, but at the end of the day, it is a contract. You are entering into a mutual agreement that is the most serious agreement on earth. Allah calls it in the Quran, مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا, a very serious contract. It is a contract. It is a contract because you are giving something, they're giving something, you're exchanging something. It's human lives that you're dealing with here. So it is a contract. There are rights, responsibilities, agreements, everything. But it's not like a business contract. It's not like buying a house. There's love involved. There's mutuality. There's kindness. There's generosity. There's courtesy. So when people enter into a marriage contract, take it easy. Don't sit there talking about every nitty-gritty right. Take it easy, give and take, be easy. Remember we said make the halal easy, so the haram becomes difficult. In Islam, there are 5 conditions for a valid marriage. Only 5. Plus, listen carefully, plus 1 right that has to happen. What's the difference between condition and right? The condition means if one of them is missing, the marriage has to be done again. It's not valid. The right, which is the 6th thing, it's called a right, the marriage is still valid if it's not there, but it has to eventually happen. We'll talk about them, inshallah. The first 5 conditions to the marriage are, number 1, the identity of the couple. So that when they come to get married, in the marriage contract, and I'll explain how it's done, the names have to be said loud and the names have to be known. And if you're writing it, it's better to write it. The celebrant or the imam, whoever's doing the marriage, has to write the names and you have to say them. The way I do it, there's several ways you can do it. The way I do it, and as you know, I'm a marriage celebrant, maybe half of you. Hands up if I married people off, just for fun. Anyone here? Come on, man. If nobody puts their hand up, this is the first. Ooh, no one. Soon, inshallah. Not you, Hadra? Met his wife at one of my lectures. Haha, see, that's what I'm talking about. But, I'll be walking in the supermarket at Woolworths. It's happened to me many times, and a couple would walk up to me, shining, life, and I said, okay, here it comes. I don't know what this is. Say, it's us. So who's you? It's us. I say, who? I'm sweating, I'm thinking, so someone, and they say their names. I go, yeah, who? So remember, you married us. When? 6 years ago I can't remember, 6 years ago. And I act like I know, and I get very embarrassed. So I forgive me if you're among here or you're listening. I apologize. Sometimes you do, 1,000 marriages, and it's hard to remember who's from who. So I apologize. I'll tell you this little story, wallah. I'm sitting with this at a family occasion. This mother, who was elderly mother, was sitting there. She says, so how's your mum, how's your dad? Alhamdulillah, they're very good. And we're talking right about Lebanon, we're talking stuff. And then her son's sitting there. He was my student back in the days. I said, inshallah, when your son gets married, I'm going to do it as a gift for him. For free, gift. And then her jaw dropped. She says, are you serious? I said, yeah. She goes, no, Anjad, really? I go, yeah, I won't take money. She said, you did his marriage last week. Wallahi, I did his marriage the week before and I'd forgotten. I was so embarrassed, wallahi. Subhanallah. So forgive me, it happens. Anyway, we move on. So the way I do the marriages is I sit the groom and the father of the bride. Sometimes the groom chooses his father out of respect to represent him. We have 2 witnesses. We agree on something called the mahar. I'll explain it. And then I get the fathers to shake hands and they say the words. The words for a marriage, for it to count, is like this. The father of the groom or the groom himself has to say verbally, for people to hear, I request your daughter so-and-so, and you have to name her in marriage in accordance with the Quran and Sunnah and on the mahar that we have agreed upon. And then the father will reply, on behalf of my daughter, I give her so-and-so to you, so-and-so, or to your son, so-and-so, in marriage, in accordance with the Quran and Sunnah on the matter we've agreed, and they say we accept and agree. Sometimes I turn to the groom and I ask him, do you take so-and-so to be a lawfully wedded wife and to treat her with goodness, care, compassion and love, as much as Allah has within your capacity? He'll say, yes, I do. And sometimes I turn to the bride as well. I do like to do that. It's not necessary, but I do turn to the bride. Sometimes she's shy and I feel sorry for her. But I ask a quick question. Do you accept to marry him? Yes. And she says, yes, khalas, it's done. So that's it. Some people, my friend, he got married in Malaysia. Malaysia is a beautiful country, but they have this rule. When you get married, you have to say the statement. There's specific words. And you've got to say them without breathing. I think I'm right. You've got to say them all in one breath. And you've got 3 chances. If you make a mistake, 3rd time, you've got to go back, come back another time. You can't get married to her that day. It happened to my friend. He's from Uganda, married Chinese Malay who had, alhamdulillah, reverted to Islam. And he said, I said it the first time, I made a mistake. The 2nd time, they said, you got one more. One more chance. And he goes, alhamdulillah, I said it. It's very nerve-wracking. But in Islam, really, it's not necessary to do that. What if you can't talk? What if you're hearing impaired? You can sometimes just understanding, nodding, agreeing, pointing is fine. Yes, or I can ask you a question. So it's very simple, inshallah. So brothers and sisters, you can see the identity is very important. You need to know who is getting married. You can't just say, my oldest daughter, my youngest daughter, my daughter who wears the glasses. No, you have to say the names and the son. So that's the first condition, the identity. The second one is the consent of both the couple. The boy and the girl, the groom and the bride, both have to have given their approval and their consent. If the bride has been married before, she must pronounce her consent in front of the witnesses or the people. She has to say it, or in front of the celebrant and 2 witnesses. As for the bride who's never been married before, she hasn't been married before, for her it's a bit easier. She can say yes, or her father can say it on her behalf. And if she is silent, it means she approves. If she doesn't approve, she has to say no. She must say no. I personally ask the father and I ask the daughter all the time. Sometimes, what I do, if she's not around, I say, I've got to go inside. I've got to get her to sign. I want to hear her statement. One time, I did a marriage, actually it was being a couple of times like this, where I noticed the girl wasn't there and the father of the girl was very agitated. And the groom came along with his uncle and the family. And I noticed something, I won't say because I don't want to expose who it is, just in case. I noticed something that made me feel that something's wrong. So I said, everybody, we're going to have to stop. I asked the father a few questions. He told me some things that I said, well, this is not right. And I went to speak with the daughter. I said, is this true? She said, yes, but I want him. I said, okay, let's just think about this and that. Maybe there's a trick here. And subhanAllah, she was convinced that after speaking to her, there was some trickery happening. It wasn't genuine. And then, alhamdulillah, I called the marriage off. So sometimes it's hard on a celebrant, you've got to investigate a little bit. So the consent is very, very important in a marriage.